Okay, Joe. So I guess you and I tonight are going to be doing a Goblins Games episode, and this was based on a question that you put out on Twitter about, looking at Ravnica. I mean, we like to talk about Ravnica. I think we like to look at Ravnica from this concept of guilds versus guildless, but also how does it map onto a real world when it's kind of we know basically Ravnica the city. We know an area, this giant metropolis of a populace that is kind of governed mostly by these guilds.
Try saying that 5 times fast again.
Yeah, I'm surprised I got through it once. That'll be the name of my prog rock band? Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So we asked kind of listeners and just in general, you asked the question. You asked people to give what their job or career field is or what they do for a living so that we could talk about where we think this aligns with some of the guilds.
Yeah, and we got a ton of responses, and I think it's pretty cool. Some people did also sort of like theorize themselves, so I'm interested to see if we agree with their own, with their sort of takes on it.
So Jay was actually one of the first ones that I have that responded.
Jay Anelli, at
Yep.
J13X
Yep.
on the Twitters.
So he brought up something that's interesting, given it's a topic we're going to dive into a little bit further on an upcoming episode, but disaster management. Like, who is in charge of kind of the contingency plans for natural disasters, planeswalker fights, like literal dragons destroying shit?
Yeah, that's a good question. That one, I feel like the easy answer here is it might be sort of the like relief, sort of the care outreach arm of the Boros. I feel like they're kind of the National Guard sort of, and so you see like the National Guard get deployed to help during hurricanes in the Gulf or that sort of thing. I wonder if that might be part of it. Maybe more the white leaning aspect of that, bridge building or that sort of stuff.
I mean, they're the ones that would be the boots on the ground. I don't know if disaster management, if it's the coming up with the plans and rolling out the trainings on how to do this.
That's a very good point. Well, what do you think?
I mean, when I think of plans and logistics, I'm probably thinking the Azorius, but that's just because they would want to be meticulous and have everything like, they would want to have an SOP to look at an SOP. I mean, so I don't know if they would be the most effective at kind of doing the training and coming up with good plans, but they would be the keeper of the plans.
Yeah, they probably have like protocols on protocols on protocols to deal with stuff. So yeah, I could see that for sure.
So next up we have Bradley Rose, at Bradley Rose, who is a software test engineer.
Oh. I mean, that's got to be, is it, right? We're just talking about electricity and electronics, and they like making things go boom, and I feel like that's what testing would be in this world. I feel like more, though, it wouldn't be just like, hey, does this software run on this computer? It would be like, hey, will this software literally make my computer explode?
Yeah. When they talk about testing the limits of like what software can do, that's what they're talking about. Will this blow up in somebody's face? That's what we want it to do.
Yep, yeah. Absolutely. I think that's a slam dunk, is it, right there?
Okay, so next is Russell at Rogue Artificer, good friend of the cast.
Oh, yeah.
And he is a comic book and game sales clerk. So, I mean, this kind of gets into, we talked a little bit about this when we did one of our episodes. I'm wondering if this is guild aligned or if this is guildless kind of your shop fronts, your kind of, I mean, I guess we could stick with it if it's a guild, but
yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think you're right that it might be guildless if we're going strictly by letter of the law. I think for this game, sales, I mean, makes me think of the Orzhov a little bit. You have exchange of funds, but it's not really like a sort of a taxing, tithing, banking thing necessarily. And games sounds a lot too fun for the Orzhov too.
Right. I mean, I'm gonna actually go out on a limb and say this is gonna be a guild list. I just have to say that I think this is something that it doesn't fit neatly into an alignment, and I actually would like. I'm seeing this as part of the rising up, which that I am a big supporter of.
So maybe, well, speaking of rising up, and this is maybe teasing an episode we're going to get to in the future, but maybe games, entertainment, enjoyment. Maybe this is sort of a Cult of Rakdos type thing.
It could be.
If we had to put it into a guild, maybe.
Yeah, I think I could get behind that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah. I think you're right on the whole. It's probably just your average everyday, Joe Schmo doing their thing.
What most of us kind of do. Yeah. Right. Okay, next is Eric Landis, aka @ProggyBoog, who is a software agile project manager. So we have another element of software, but we're now moving into a management type role.
Yeah, I don't even know what agile project. That does sound isity in general. But if we had to, manager maybe.
Well, so agile software development is an approach to software development under which requirements and solutions evolve through collaborative effort of self-organizing and cross-functional teams.
That still didn't explain to me what it is, and you definitely Googled that.
So agile project methodology breaks projects into small pieces that are completed in work sessions that run from kind of across. There is cross-talk between, so there's collaboration that's involved here between the customer / end user and the teams themselves.
Okay.
So there is a collaborative element that is going on here that is probably a little bit different than the is it
full on test stuff. Yeah. It seems to me that this might be maybe like an Azorius contracting with the is it, sort of like a liaison in an is it office. Yeah, is that sort of thing. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more of structure and sort of partialing off parts of a project.
And it also has to be communicating between your customer base and your teams. And I just don't feel like a lot of the is it as we know them would be very good at communication with their customers.
I don't ever want to call into product support with the is it.
No. Okay. Next is our friend Michelle @Bale Firestrix.
Friend of the cast.
Friend of
all
can say
goblins.
That, hopefully. So she talks about being both a potter and a writer. So we know that she is firmly a artistic person, right? And I am going to tell you, I do not believe that this is going to be a Rakdos styling of art.
No, I agree. Because they're a lot more about entertainment as opposed to art. I think those are, and I mean, I guess more performing art versus visual art.
Yes.
What do you think about Golgari?
So I had green aligned.
Yep.
And I was, I think I was on the fence between potentially Golgari or Selesnya.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning too. And the reason I say Golgari first is because I'm thinking about those sort of earthen elements of pottery and, using materials from the ground to, turn into a useful tool. It's very much that cycle of nature type thing that the Golgari love to do.
Yeah.
Why do you think Selesnya? I agree with you, but I just want to hear your take.
It's against the earthiness element to it, but I think it's less of the kind of the what I think of as the graveyard or bringing, the use of decomposing type materials and more about the life portion of it. And I associate that more with Selesnya.
Yeah, and I think they would be a little more receptive to like writing and poetry and that sort of thing too.
Yeah, I think so. That's why, I think it was more just it would fit in well there. She's going to probably just be absolutely angry at us no matter what we choose. I feel like we're not going to choose what...
We're not putting her in her own Orzhov? No.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, and we'll get to our jobs later, but I don't think I'm in the guild that I wish that my personality aligns with either. But again, teasing that, we'll get there.
Yeah. So, at Wooberg, a nice play on our magic color pie, which it's at WOOBERG. It works in reality television. Now he works specifically in post-production, but he's still working on reality television. And he's getting this product to be the most entertaining, to get it ready to go out to the audience.
Oh. So the industry, I think, is governed by the Rakdos, right? Reality TV sounds right up there with Rakdos.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
But he's in post-production, so it's a lot more of the technical, the editing, the producing sort of stuff, the behind-the-scenes type things. So, again, I think this might be a tech deal, and I know that we're putting a lot in this area already, but I do think this is like, is it contracting into a Rakdos industry? That sort of thing.
I mean, wouldn't they just burn the film? I mean, wouldn't they just like make the film explode once again? I mean, like, it just doesn't feel like editing. Like, it doesn't feel like that's their strong suit.
Okay. So
putting things together is not their strong suit.
I think
I guess it is.
Yeah, they do manage, to pull some stuff off.
It's not going to be a polished good project.
Is reality TV ever a good
Oh, wow. That's offensive.
Shout out to The Bachelor, what up? That would be my take on it, is maybe sort of an is it technician type person working in a Rakdos industry. But do you have a different take? I think we both agree it's the Rakdos industry, but
yeah. I mean, I think that we're just,
this job maybe is, I don't know. That's tough. I think probably Rakdos in general, but we can split hairs about, is it for the tech? Are they Azorius for the structuring and editing? Are they Demir maybe because of the selective information?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like Demir, I was actually just thinking Demir. I'm like, we haven't really had any Demir type jobs pop up yet, and I'm thinking this could be one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're information brokers, librarian. I mean, but they're kind of, in some ways, it's a control of information and passing on of information. Yeah.
I think that's it. I think that's exactly it.
Yeah.
They deal with how information gets seen, but it's a Rakdos field.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Nailed that one. Way to go.
Yeah. Whew. We know we're right. Okay. So at Adam Barnello said that he is a power systems engineer and that there's literally no question of what guild that falls under.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not. It's the Gruul, right?
Yeah. Well, I said it was the Selesnya. I thought it had the most kind of just conservationist type.
I mean, yeah, it isn't, right?
I mean, to be fair, he did say power systems. He could have been referring to wind power, hydroelectric. Some of those were a lot more conservationists. I'm not saying that I am wrong.
Are you saying that the aren't conservationists? Because I find that offensive. I think they are very good at conserving a lot of energy and then using it all up in one explosion.
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem, right? I mean, like, it's not effective conservation or useful conservation. So, this next person is going to be at That Gal Carolyn, which is our friend Madam Riot Gruul Mechanic, which is an amazing play on words given that she is a truck mechanic. And I think she's hinting at where she believes that falls, too.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know a truck mechanic. Do you agree with this one? I have to think about it for a second.
I mean, I said to her online that I thought this was guildless.
I think it would be guildless. I think this would be, again, if we're going by strict definitions, this would probably be a guildless one because they need, mechanics and couriers to be, for every guild. They need that across the plane.
Whereas there is an interesting kind of thing that, when we look online, it talks about some of the guild pack civic functions that you can find on like Gamepedia about the Ravnica guilds. And they talk about like blue collar manual labor and pink collar service sectors as falling under the cult of Rakdos.
Yeah, and that was one of the original purposes of Rakdos by the original guild pact is manual labor type stuff.
Right. I mean, so if we were looking at it from that, I mean, you said that service sector, so then this is where we might see, going back to that comic books above, that historically would have at least been a Rakdos job.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
It could be if we were forced to put it into a field. This might have been traditionally Rakdos, but yeah. I do think you're right, and it evolved out of that into just a guildless field.
Yeah.
Because
the Rakdos became more, focused on the arts, let's say.
They became more cultured.
Wow. Okay. So, at _Kaburi, our favorite cat bug, is a medicinal chemist doing drug design and optimization for Big Pharma.
Oh man. See, I would have said medicinal chemist is like, that's easily straight up just Izzity.
Yep.
But for Big Pharma, I don't know that the Izzet are Big Pharma.
Maybe Ravnica doesn't have Big Pharma.
I think if they do, it's the Simic.
Well, and so what's interesting there is somebody's response to him right away was Simic, which gets into the interesting thing to talk about. And the podcast actually tweeted back to him, talking about the difference between biochem, organic chemistry, and inorganic chemistry. And, Kaburi's statement was he's not a biologist, he is a chemist.
Right. Yeah, and I
So, and if we are going with straight up chemistry, we do have to say that's is it. I mean, there's no
for sure. The job that I do think the job is it for sure. Is it chemister? Kaburi also brings up is it chemister?
Yeah, I mean,
I wonder what Big Pharma would be, because part of it feels like it might be an Azorius type of thing. Maybe I'm just associating them with
things
evil.
That are like, I think every time we're coming back to something like government, we're just like, it's the Azorius and they suck.
Yeah, maybe the lobbyists for Big Pharma would be Azorius types, but I do. There's something about it being a medicinal field that does make me think of the Simic, because they have traditionally been the healthcare providers on Ravnica. So, I don't know. I think there's a little bit in there, but it's not that Kaburi interacts with the biology directly. Again, This might be like one of those contractor situations in my brain, but definitely is a job.
Contractors right now on Ravnica.
Hey, you gotta have free flow of information and jobs. Who says that just because you belong to a guild doesn't mean you can't make a little money off of another one?
I think you just described the entire guild system. So, our next comes from Mirabeau, at MiraPunk42, who list themselves as a luthier, / guitar repair tech. So a luthier is somebody who makes stringed instruments.
Yeah.
And I only know that because somebody recently that I was working with in my actual real person job was looking into a luthier program.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Minnesota's got them.
Wow.
Yeah. And
go Minnesota.
Mirabeau chose to say that is Rakdos with the arts.
I agree with him. I think I think that's pretty darn Rakdos.
Yeah.
If anything else, it could bleed a little bit into Gruul, maybe, because there's the element of
woodworking,
and making something out of natural materials. But but I agree. This is Rakdos for sure.
Yeah. So, Brian Scott W. at Props of Prophecy works in merchandising and systematic demo deployment support and troubleshooting.
So merchandising being like taking an intellectual property and making merchandise out of it, like branding it and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's right here. That seems kind of blue-white.
Yeah.
You're taking an idea, the element of blue, but you're structuring something and trying to influence a large group of people with it, so that it does bring in an element of white.
I mean, I think, and Brian also makes the case that the more the demo deployment and troubleshooting, I think it's funny because I'm just going through these as we're going, so I did not see this when we were discussing earlier, but it's more that, troubleshooting or testing of software and taking things to their limit, and he thinks that is really in the is it.
Would they be troubleshooting, or would they shoot more troubles at it?
Wow. The podcast may have just gotten canceled. So I'm going to skip myself. So because we're going to come back to you and I at the end, but at Alley Encampment says that she is a barista.
I mean, this is definitely a guildless one. Again, by strict letter of the law. I would say that's not a gilded job. But I think based on one of the most interesting pieces of flavor text that we got from Guilds of Ravnica, this might be Is It? Because of experimental frenzy.
Yeah, because of the coffee. But that's coffee. That takes us into whether we're talking about coffee as serving coffee / making a coffee drink versus coffee.
Engineering and brewing coffee.
Engineering and brewing and what goes into that. So, I mean, that's the thing. I was going to say, if we're going to take this away from Guildless, we got the historical cult of Rakdos here. But, there's just trying to think,
Well, maybe it is Rakdos because so many actors have to be baristas on the side in order to pay their bills.
Wow. Okay, we got that. Yeah. It would have been great if Ali had put in there / actress, because then it would have just worked perfectly.
As a former theater artist myself, I understand this field way too well.
So at Logan_Noble. Logan Noble works in something he works in public health. So he does food health facility inspections, STD education for the local community. I mean, this is Golgari.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, I think that this is kind of our agriculture, our waste management sectors part of it. But I mean, there's an education component that I'm not, doing the inspections themselves, I guess. God.
Yeah. So I think
now I just talk myself out of it.
No. So I think you're in the neighborhood with, the Golgari would be the food producers for sure. But I think the inspectors, I think this is either Azorius, especially with the education, that seems to be a very white element as well. Or this could be Simic, I think, a little bit, in that they're dealing with, ensuring that things are safe for human consumption or I guess, humanoid consumption.
I want life sciences. I want to go more Simic because I do not think the Azorius would be good for public health. I think that they are way too law bound for that.
Yeah, that they wouldn't be able to respond quick enough to an E. coli outbreak.
No. Yeah. So that okay. So
I think this one's a Simic. Yep.
We're going Simic. Okay. So next is at _TK Shillins, SHILLINZ, who says that the real answer is manager for a small-scale financial software firm. However, said that the answer that he hopes gets him into Gruul is he tips bins over and throws ice at the cops. So
if that's his job,
I'm hoping social activist, maybe?
If that's his job, then he's in
Gruul.
Gruul.
Yeah, I mean...
But I don't know who's paying him to tip things over and throw ice at cops.
Maybe the Gruul don't get paid. I mean, maybe that's why they're kind of pissed off.
They're just off the grid, man.
Yeah, like, they don't want non-creatures doing things. That's why you're getting... Bori Rigmos is going to punch you in the face. I mean, like...
They just live on their own commune.
Thar. Yeah, we have Rurik Thar. He's running through the maze, like, laughing at anything that's not a creature. I mean, yeah.
So the only career that you can have as a member of the Gruul, what you're telling me is either commune member or Burning Man enthusiast, where you just barter all of your jobs.
Straight up rioter and agitator.
Straight up rioter. Oh man.
I mean,
so if we go to his real answer, manager, small scale financial software firm.
I mean, we basically already did that. That was up above.
That's kind of it. Well,
I'm giving him his answer.
You're giving okay. You got it. TK, you can be in Gruul. You can throw ice at cops all you want.
Note that the cast does not take responsibility for any ice thrown at cops.
But
that's a disclaimer. I'm throwing it out there.
But also second disclaimer: fight the powers that be.
Wow, I forgot that we're family friendly and almost just said something very inappropriate. Okay. Next is Dylan Lurch at DT Lurch, Lerch, who is a data analyst.
This, I think, falls into that area between Azorius and Izzet again, maybe, but it's more data, so I'd lean Azorius. Less tech, more data.
So it's analyzing the data, right? It's not just... Yeah. I mean, it's...
Yeah, less physical,
Yeah. I mean, this is more taking the numbers and actually...
Although, again, this could be one of those Demir ones, dealing with information.
Yeah, that's where I was leaning. I think analyzing the data. I mean, it's. I guess it's what's being done. Like what he does, is he designing his own what he wants run, or is he getting that from somebody else? Is he controlling the flow based on what his questions are?
Well, yeah.
Or is he analyzing data for somebody else?
Yeah, and is it like full analysis, or is it just like categorization and filing? Because filing, yeah, I agree. Filing, I think, would be maybe an Azorius bureaucrat, but I think data analysis could easily be in the information element of the House Demir.
Right now, I feel really bad looking at mimicking our head. Like Boros and Orzhov are just like not doing anything. Like
we don't have any banker friends apparently, or priest friends, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Boros, I still think there's an element of disaster relief that the Boros deal with. So we kind of got a little bit of that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I am realizing just exactly how many we have in here.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, getting to the point where we may have to skip around a little bit or something because yeah.
I think interesting one here too is David _A_ Schultz. Where he is a public historian. That one I think might be kind of the flip side of what we just talked about with Dylan, where it is more categorization and preservation. I think that might be an Azorius function.
Yep. Yeah.
Also, speaking of Boros, we have Seth Cross, DM _Cross, and he is military communications troop. I think that's easily a Boros one.
Looking further down, actually, we do have we have some of more of our, I think our military people are kind of showing up further on down in this thread. There's actually a couple of them, because I actually know we have a large portion of Magic players that are in the military. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's kind of our Boros people. Like I said, I think looking at it from that National Guard, this kind of, yeah, but I mean, that is our military and our protectors there.
We do also have two that I'm interested. I think these would fall into Orzhov, into the Orzhova, and that is Alex Zito.
Well, yeah.
Finance and banking for sure. Yeah. Alex C SZETO on Twitter. And then, excuse me, and then Goblin at Goblin on Twitter, a welfare benefit collector. I think that for sure would fall into Orzhov.
Yep, and we also have somewhere in there was somebody that actually is did you say employee benefits broker? Because we also have that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
Which, it's a brokerage. I mean, it could be, I guess it's employee benefits, so you would hope they're not just bribing people or taking advantage. But,
there are advocates.
Extorting.
There are advocates in the Orzhov Guild, so I think that there can be the public defenders still come from that guild, so I think that still might be where they fall.
So I actually really appreciate that that we did get this large number of responses to this, and I think it is a fun kind of exercise to do. Now we need to end with you and I, Joe.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
No.
Okay. So my career is that I am a postal worker.
So you talked a little bit earlier that you think that maybe the career that you are in currently is not aligned with where you see yourself as a gilded person.
Yeah. So my personality, I think, is more red-green or red-blue. More Gruul or is it in terms of just color alignment and what that would mean. But I'm pretty sure this career doesn't fall into either of those.
Okay. So, Dimir?
Yeah, I think so, right? Because they have the couriers, they pass information around. This would probably be one of the more front-facing, like public view aspects of the Dimir. This is not the super spy element.
This is the Dimir. Like, guys, see, we just give you your mail. We didn't read it before we dropped it off.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly it. I think that's exactly it.
The reason I said no, I wasn't ready to go is I don't know. So I am a clinical psychologist. Mm-hmm. So I'm trained mainly in doing assessment of mental health problems and treatment of those. So it is both, the main role and what makes psychologists, I think, a little bit different at times from maybe some of the other health professions is we are specifically trained in assessing. So there is this, we're blue. We're definitely
right.
Blue aligned. There's a knowledge piece to it. I would say that we are most likely, I would say that I am in this element, and the reason I don't want to say this is because it means I have to say I'm aligned with green.
Yep, I was just going to say Simic.
Probably going to be Simic.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's exactly because they are the healthcare providers.
Yeah, but I'm less about like mutations and surgeries on people. Sure. I think that's the hard part is like.
I do think I'm gonna push back on this a little bit and say that I do think it's Simic though, because especially as we've talked about on the cast before, but I'm someone who has depression, and one of the things that they do that the healthcare field does do in real life is uses medication to augment people's bodies, their brain chemistries, that sort of thing, for the better.
Right.
And so I think that's part of it too, is,
Well, that's psychiatry, because
and that's psychiatry, right? Absolutely. But I guess think there's that element of that where if you're doing it right, hopefully you are, if you have a mental health concern, hopefully you are on meds to help treat it, and then you're also in psychology. You're also going to therapy sessions.
And the goal of therapy is to help you, change a little bit of your worldview there actually is changes in brain chemistry that can be found from doing like cognitive behavioral therapy.
Absolutely.
I will take Simic and be upset about it.
But I think this is
because I have to be green aligned.
This is maybe the one interesting thing is I think you are, again, I'm going to go back to my contractor theory. You're a Simic contractor working with a lot of members of the Boros Legion.
Okay, we're cool. Yeah, that's good. That'd be yes. I guess that's
because obviously
I work in
the VA. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm a contractor, which would explain why I'm funded, so I'm not shut down right now.
Yeah, ditto. I
That
mean,
joke
no
only
one,
works if
no one shuts down the Dimir.
if this comes out during the shutdown.
Well, the government would never shut down on Ravnica because, oh wait, no, there will be a big old dragon coming in to mess things up. Yeah, there might be a government shutdown on Ravnica too. Now that I think about it.